Hey guys, welcome back. And today we're going to go over a deep dive into the basics of Apex Trader funding. This video is for anybody who is brand new. If you are not brand new, I do have a more high-level video on my channel that you guys can go check out. But this is going to be for anybody very new that kind of needs to wrap their head around the futures market and kind of where contracts come from, what those look like, how we utilize them. So let's go ahead and jump into this. When we come to Apex, remember that there is a lot of information on here. When we're looking at getting an account, we're going to scroll all the way down. It does say why to choose this. 25,000. The first 25,000 is yours. Payouts every 8 days. Every 8 days, meaning you have to have $50 or more on those 8 days. They do not need to be consecutive. They could be 5 green days, take a red day, and then come back and get 3 more, and you're ready for a payout. So no scaling or failing by going over contract size. I don't know why it says this, but there is a rule on the funded side of this. So once you are funded, they're giving you half of the contract sizes they initially give you in the evaluation. And then no daily drawdowns, and then no cap or max total cap on maximum payout, and then one-step evaluation, meaning you could pass this in 1 day and then be funded. Is that something a new trader should strive for? I would say depending on your experience and how emotionally strong you are at trading, that is definitely up to you. I would say with most traders and teaching and learning how most traders come into the markets, I would say no. I would say give yourself a few days to fully feel how things feel, and especially if you're brand new, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So it's definitely a learning curve. Everybody starts somewhere, and if this is something you want to do, you can do it. Anybody can do this, right? It just takes hard work and determination and to not give up. So when we scroll down and we see that there are wealth charts, this is a standalone platform. It does have more advanced options. So I've used it. I don't love it. Rhythmic, I feel like is outdated. Tradeovate, though, is what I use. And for the purpose of the video, we're going to be going over 50K account. But let's go ahead and break this down. What do these mean, and what are these drawdowns? So you have to think when you are purchasing these, and this goes for any prop firm, you're essentially purchasing the drawdown. So you need to make sure that you're looking at what these drawdowns are. So $1,500, $25,000, $3,000, and then as we get to the larger accounts, the drawdown is definitely more worth it. But on the other side of that is, are you somebody who can see yourself making $15,000? I do have the 250K accounts, and the 15,000 is something that has become just, I don't want to use the word easy, because nothing in trading is easy, right? It's all definitely a struggle, and definitely, like I said, is the learning curve, but this doesn't hinder me that much, I should say. Okay, but let's go back to this because we're brand new, right? We're trying to figure this out. If you were to go with your 50K account and looking at these contracts, they're giving you access to 10 full-size NQ contracts, and you can use this in any type of way you would like. I've had people ask, do I have to use all 10 contracts? No, don't even pay attention to that. You can use them however you see fit and whatever your trading style is. If you wanted to use 2, you can. If you wanted to use 4, you could. They're just saying that they're giving you up to 10 to use at your discretion. And then the micros. So one full-size NQ contract is trading at $20 per point. So you're either gaining or losing $20 every time it moves 1 point. Okay, for the micros, this is the micro version of the NQ. So it's MNQ, excuse me. I'm thinking of Dow Jones. Dow Jones US 30 is YM or MYM. NQ, MNQ. Okay, so they're giving you 100 of them because they trade at $2. So $2 per point that it moves. So if it moved in your direction 1 point, you just gained $2. If it moves against you, you just lost $2. Okay, so now when we come over here and we kind of look at this, I went ahead and wrote this all out. Sometimes just seeing it visually helps instead of thinking like 5 contracts. Like obviously it's easy math, but when you put it on paper, you're like, okay, I know that if I open a trade with 5 contracts ready to go, I know that every time it moves 1 point, I'm gaining $100 or I am losing $100. Is that something you are emotionally ready for? Because I don't care what anybody says. Trying to take the emotion out of trading when you are a new trader is probably one of the most difficult things to overcome and to get your psychology locked into a point where you can hold through trades that have 5 contracts on. So let's take our examples of today's trades. These were the trades that I took live today. So this trade right here, 33 points, $100 per trade. If we bust out our little calculator here and we start to look at this and we say, okay, price moved 33 points today. And we say, I'm trading 5 contracts. How much is that? $3,300. We know we have to have a profit target of $3,000. This singular trade would have met our profit target. Okay, is that something you guys should be doing when you're brand new, loading up on 5 contracts? It really depends, but generally speaking, probably not. So how do we mitigate this and understand what we're doing and how we're going to do it? So the best thing to do is sit down and run the numbers and understand where you're comfortable at. And how to figure that out is really trial and error, right? If somebody just tells you like, oh, just go trade 5 contracts, just go trade 2 contracts, and you don't really understand or know why you're doing it or what that feels like if you're brand new, it's definitely the learning curve of understanding what you can withstand. Can you comfortably and confidently trade 2 contracts? If you've never traded, that's why Apex is a great place to start instead of paper trading, because it's actually real money and it is low cost entry. And down below in the description, I forgot to say this at the beginning of the video, there's always going to be my link and my code. It's always going to give you the best deal possible that Apex has going on. You can get 50K accounts, I think, for as low as like $30. I think they might be cheaper sometimes. Right now they're 80% off. I think it was $37. So just remember that. But it's definitely a learning curve as to what you can withstand. So the best thing to do is say, start out with 1 contract. If you're like, piece of cake, I got this, then move to 2 and start to journal how that feels. If you're like anxious, oh my gosh, this is too much, I can't do this, then that's when you know to scale down. So you won't know until you do it. So listening to people that are like, oh yeah, just jump in with 5, just full port it. And for those of you who do not know what full porting means, that means taking all of the available contracts that you have and loading them into 1 trade. So for instance, if we said, you know what, I'm going to full port this morning, I'm going to take this 33-point trade, I'm going to do my 10 contracts, which moves at $200 per point. So you would take your $200 times the 33 points that it moved, and you would say $66. Do you need $6,600? No. Can you cut that off at any point? Sure, you could close the trade. But for new traders, again, we want to be smart about this, okay? You're just learning. You don't need to jump into this and YOLO the trade, right? If you're somebody who actually wants to learn the skill, you need to build out yourself as a trader and understand the way you tick, why you do the things you do, and understand the markets as well. So for brand new traders, I always say run the numbers, right? How do you run numbers? So you know you need a profit target of $3,000. You know you're brand new and you should probably start with one contract just to get a feel for how everything works. So we know that one contract is $20, right? So if we take our $3,000 and we divide it by our $20, that gives us 150 points that we would need to get out of the market. Can you get 150 points in one day? Potentially, yes. This is something else you will have to learn as you go, is how many trades are you able to take during the day and do it correctly, following a plan, following rules, and not just getting into a trade because it's selling or getting into a trade because it's buying, right? So that's something else you'll have to figure out, is understanding you as a trader, how many trades are you comfortable and confident trading each and every single day? Is it one trade? Is it 3 trades? Is it 5 trades? These are all things that are going to take time to determine what works best for you. Okay, so if we take the 3 trades, so I typically will take 1 trade or upwards of 3 trades a day, and then I am done, right? So if we take the trades I took today, there was a trade for 16 points, a trade for 33 points, and a trade for 34 points. So let's just write this all out. We know that we need 150 points trading 1 NQ contract, so 1 Q, and that's $20 per point. Okay, we have to understand, again, right, where we're at and how we do this. So the trades we took today, if we take our 16 point, took our 33 point, and then and then we took our 34 point. Where does that have us sitting? 83 points in one day. So we have our 83 points in one day. Is this doable? Yeah, right? So we know we need 150 points. So the next day, what are we looking for? So we would take our 150 minus our 83 points, and that would give us a total of 67 points. So 67 points. 67 points needed to pass. So this can either be done the same day, depending on your trading style, depending on your setups, depending on what you are doing as a trader, right? Could you have said, okay, I see this setup starting to play and I want to take this position here and I'm taking it to the high. Okay, that's 50-ish points, right? So you would be closer. So it really depends on what you wanted to do. This is trading with one NQ contract, right? So ultimately, what we're trying to figure out, and this is something I think a lot of new traders will just jump into trading without understanding how and where they're going and how they're productively going to get there. So now we could say maybe one NQ contract just is not it for you. Maybe you want to do 2. Okay, we're going to do that same equation. We have our $3,000 that we know we have to have in order to become funded. So we take our $3,000 and we divide it by the $40, which is the 2 contracts we're trading. And we know that we need 75 points. Would we have made that today? Yes. So here is what we made in one day, 83 points. Now, keep in mind that every day is different, right? Every day is different. So the 75 points, how could you mitigate this? Say that you didn't make these 83 points today. You could potentially tell yourself, instead of saying, I'm just going to hold until I make $3,000 with trading 2 contracts, I'm just going to hold 75 points. And Q, unfortunately, doesn't move like that sometimes. So what would be the next best option if you said that your goal was potentially to pass this in one day and that's it, I'm passing in one day, I want to figure out the best way to do this? you could say, and with the lowest risk, right? And this goes even for this, right? So let's make another little box, and let's say if we were trading our 75 points with 2 NQ, and that is our $40 per point. Okay, we know, goodness. Okay, so this can go right here, and then this, and then you can, and then maybe say your limit is 3 contracts, and we can just run the numbers for that really quick. Let's take, again, our $3,000. We're going to divide it by $60. How many points does that give us? 50 points. So we could say that 50 points with 3 NQ at trading at $60 per point. Okay, so with this being said, though, what do we have to keep in mind, even though we know either 1 NQ contract's 150, 2 is 75, or 3 is 50 points that we need to get out of the market? If we went with 3, could you take small trades, right? Running these numbers and running scenarios and looking at the chart and looking how many points it moves, right? Say you wanted to take only 3 trades. You could say that you need 50 points. You're going to trade the highest one, 3 NQ contracts, right? And you're only going to take 3 trades that day, right? There's so many different scenarios that could go into this. You would need 16 points. This is something I encourage everybody to do, is to take your little box tool, and let me turn my left right off, just so we can mark this. Okay, here's our little box. You're going to take your measuring tool, probably more than 16. Pretty dang close. Pretty dang close. Let's make it a little bigger. So do this long enough to realize how. Okay, so this is close enough to 16 points. And you said you want to take only 3 contracts. Or only take 3 trades a day with the 3 contracts. You're going to take this and you're going to go from New York Open, which is, 9:30, or for me, I'm Pacific Standard Time, 6:30, and you're going to start to look at these areas of interest, or however you look at your trading strategy. This is a great way to do this, because how many times did 16 points play out in the market, right? This is a great way to kind of test your strategy and go through and just put this little box here. And maybe you wanted to trade Asian session, right? Well, let's take our little box. Look, there's Asian session, 16 points, right? Here's Asian session again, 16 points. There's definitely opportunities everywhere when you start to break it actually down and look at these. How does this make sense, right? Okay, say that you're not comfortable doing 3 NQ contracts. It would be the same thing. We know we need 75 points. Are you comfortable with only doing 3 trades a day? You would divide it. How many points do you need per trade? If this is, you're limiting your risk, right? Trying to limit risk. So 25 points. So running these numbers and kind of trying to figure out exactly where you are and what makes sense to you, because this is your personal trading journey. So there's a reason, though, I'm saying 3 trades a day also, and also why I'm saying max being 3 contracts, because we have to keep in the back of our mind that we have drawdown. Again, what is our drawdown? If we go over here and we look, we know that we only have $2,500 in drawdown, and this is a trailing drawdown. So if your account goes up $100 and then comes back down on you, you could potentially be down $100, even if it goes back up, or say you closed it. I'm trying to explain this the correct way. Let me just show you a visual because it might be easier. Okay, so let's say that. Okay, here would be a good example. Okay, say that these red candles came down. Let me put this over. Red candles came down, right? And you were up $200 at this point. And then it reversed right on you and you panic and you close it. And you close it for $100 profit, right? You're in profit, made $100. Your account is green. Your drawdown, though, because you were up $200, is going to be negative $100 because you did not take profit at your highest profit point and you closed it. Even though you're still in green profit, you closed it and it was your highest profit was down here. So trailing is definitely a little bit more difficult than end of day. So there's in prop firms, there is end of day, which calculates at the end of the day. It doesn't follow you through your trading day. So trailing threshold follows you through the day. So again, I'm trying to see what would be. Again, this could be another one. You're up, say you're up 500, say you full ported for some reason, you're up 500, and then it starts to reverse on you and you close for 250. This is where trailing drawdown can get real tricky, and this is why I'm saying break down trades like this and understand the idea that even if you're green, your trailing threshold can be red. So keep that in mind. If you guys need further instructions or information on that, drop it in the comments. You can always message me too on any of my other platforms, TikTok, or if you join the group for live trading, you guys can always message me there too. But I do go over this in depth. I do get a lot of questions with my team, but keep those things in mind. Like this would be push down, $500 goes back up, you closed for 250. Your drawdown is still negative 250 because you didn't close at your highest profit or didn't let the trade play out. So something to keep in mind. A lot of people will trade these with a see green, take green mentality, meaning if their account is green, they are closing the trade and waiting for a next trade. If it's, maybe volatile, it's not moving how you want it to, there's a lot that goes into that. Okay, so we've went over those few things and then understanding your payout and the rules in the way this works. So one good thing to always do, and I encourage everybody that trades with prop firms, is to go into the FAQ. Like go into the FAQ, understand exactly how you're going to get paid out and when you're going to get paid out. So let's go into the payout, and these rules, they may seem like a lot, but I promise they will make you a very disciplined trader. That is something you have to have. You have to have discipline. So when we look at these, we can see that the payout structure, I think this is just, I think we click. Oh no, this is right. Okay, so the payouts. When it's talking about the minimum required balances, this is going to be the equivalent of your drawdown. So when we're looking at the 50K account, this is going to be your drawdown plus $100. And this is going back to, let's say you've gotten to the point where you've gotten funded, right? Reach that 3,000, however you see fit, using these ideas right here and understanding, that this is kind of how that could look with your contracts, whatever you see fit for yourself, right? We've done this. How do we get paid out now? Okay, so you have got to make your safety threshold or your quote unquote buffer. So they require a buffer. It's equivalent to your drawdown plus $100. So say you didn't want to go with a 50K account. Say you just went with a 25K account to just kind of see, and then you passed it. Great, congratulations. Now what? You have to make $1,500 plus $100, so $1,600 in order to even be eligible for a payout. So when we look at this, we can see that that is $1,500 because it's 25K account. That is $1,500 plus 100, right? 50K account, our drawdown is $2,500 plus $100. So understanding that this is how that works. So now when we go and we look at this, right? So they do give you the option to get a $500 payout, and we can go over that in a second. But, oh, see right here, a payout, $500. But you do have to have those 8 trading days and have the minimum required balance. So they will allow it, but you do have to have at least that 52,600 on the 50K accounts. Okay, so when they talk about payouts, you can take a payout. They do have maximums for the first 6 payouts. So 6 or 5? Oh no, 6. Okay, so for the first 6 payouts, you can only take out the $2,000. That is every 8 days. And a lot of people will look at this and be like, oh, that's it? But after the 6th payout, there's nothing stopping you from taking everything out if you wanted to. So with this in mind, for new traders especially, this is thinking more long-term and not instant gratification. We kind of went over this in my other video, but understanding that even if this is your first time trading, right? This is your first account, you really want to try it, you want to get into trading, and you're trying to get to this point. The idea of doing this and getting to these payouts is that you're going to take this money and you're going to reinvest it. Because the nice thing about Apex is they allow you to have 20 of these accounts. So again, taking back, getting into our calculator, if we have a 50K account and we can take out $2,000, took that out once and we reinvest into getting 19 more accounts, in 8 days, how many jobs do you know that could take 20 accounts times $1,000? How many jobs do you know in 8 days where you can make $40,000 just rinsing and repeating the same thing over and over? Not very many. So don't scoff at this too much, like, oh, only $2,000. The fact that you've gotten to this point is a feat in itself, right? So being able to even be eligible for that is a huge accomplishment. So now when we look at some of these other guidelines, there is a 30% consistency. So a lot of people will get tripped up on this as well. So when we think about this 30% consistency, let's go. Where is it? Yeah, I passed it. It's 30% of your max day. So I did want to kind of point this out. Oh, it's right here. I did pass it. Okay. So this is not saying that you can only make 30%, right? A lot of people don't fully understand this, and it's saying that your highest profit day, it have to have that much in your account. So say that you actually let's just do what they're saying here. Okay, so the highest profit day, they're saying there's a $1,500, right? So you say you held a trade, right? And it just went crazy and you ended up making $1,500. Okay, they're saying that you need to divide that by 0.3, which 30% is giving you $5,000. What does that mean though? That means that in total profit in your account, in order to even be eligible for your payout, you have to have total profits of $5,000 or more. So if it's below the minimum, you have to continue to trade to satisfy their 30% consistency. Okay, we can do another example of this because it's a little bit hard sometimes to wrap your head around this. Say you had a $2,000 day. Say, the market, the price action was just great. Your setups were there. You held these trades, right? They're looking for consistency. They're not looking for somebody who comes into the market, decides to make 10 grand one day, and then makes $50 the 7 other days, and then wants a payout of, some crazy number, and then just keeps doing this to make these astronomical numbers. Of course, there's nothing wrong with doing this, but keep in mind, you have to have that 30% consistency rule satisfied, get a payout. And is it worth it to actually come into these markets and YOLO into trades? No, no. The goal is to follow the rules so you get the payout, right? That's our goal. It's not to come on here and see how much money we can absolutely make, right? So let's say we made $2,000 one day. We're going to take that same equation, and now we're going to see that we have to have, that's a terrible number. We're not doing that. Let's say we made 25, or let's just keep numbers round. So $3,000, and we divide it by the 0.30. That means we have to have $10,000 in our account to actually be eligible even for this payout. So in those 8 days, how much would you have to make the rest of the days if you made 3,000? So you could just say it made it 10,000 that day. So 10,000 divided by 7, you would be having to make $1,400 a day to establish a payout. So this is a good way to do that. So say you made it the 1,000 and then just do it this way. Okay, you have to have $3,300 in your bank, or in your account. What would you have to make every single day to be eligible in the next 7 days to obtain a payout? So you would say $3,300 divided by the next 7 days, right? You would have to make $476 to satisfy this rule. So hopefully those examples help. If you guys need more clarification, I'm happy to help do it, but that's kind of, I want to put that perspective out there, because just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? So what's a way to mitigate this? What's a way to mitigate, one, getting to our safety threshold or the buffer, whatever you want to call it, but also getting to the point where we can actually get a payout and be in an area of confidence for ourselves that we can actually reach on a daily basis, right? So going back to this whole idea, right? So whatever system you used to pass this Apex account is the exact same system you're going to use to get a payout. So say that we decided that we were comfortable with 3 contracts and you start running numbers. So we know that 3 contracts moves at $60 per point. How much do you need in order to successfully reach the buffer and then get a payout? So we know that if we go here, and this is a great way to start to figure this out. So we know that we can only take out $2,000, right? So next best thing to do is to take our $2,000, right? This is a lot of running numbers, running scenarios, doing the same thing over and over. So hopefully you guys are kind of wrapping your head around this now, but we know that we have to make, or we can only take a maximum of $1,000 out. We know that we have to have a 30% consistency rule. What does that look like daily? We know that there's 8 trading days, okay? $250. Okay, but caveat being that is $250 something you can easily replicate every single day. If you're trading the 3 contracts and that's $60 per point, right? Let's just do that. $50 divided by the $60 per point. That is, sorry, my math is not mathing. Sorry, we need the $250 divided by 60. I don't think I did it right. So that means we need to make 4 points out of the market to get our $250 at trading 3 contracts. Maybe 3 contracts is too much for you. $250 divided by 40 now. 6 points, right? Like these are not within Q and the right strategy, knowing where you're at in the market. These are not hard numbers to hit, right? Okay, let's say that you still want to just stick to 1 contract. Have $250 you know you need to make, and divide it by the $20. You need to have 12.5 points, 13 points each and every single day for 8 days. Is that something that's doable? Again, you could go in here, you can make your little box, and you could say, go to your measure tool. It's this 12 points, it's 10. But, or you could just take first, like the long or short position. When you guys are drawing these, this is going to be the stop loss. This is the point for the stop loss. This green area is what your profit is. So you could easily just do this too and drag this around if that's easier for you. I just like the box because it helps me see more clearly sometimes. Either one is fine. There's nothing wrong with either one. Okay, so we had the $250. We know that the point values could be 12 and then less than for more contracts, right? So now we kind of have an understanding of how that looks. Now the problem is that we know we have to make, for a 50K account, we know that we have to make the $2,600, right? In order to even be eligible. So how long is it going to take us to even get to that point? So this is something you have got to take into account in the very beginning when you are first funded, because you have got to have that in order to get to those quote unquote payouts. Yes, they'll count towards it, but how do you get there? Well, ask me this. How do you get there sooner, safely, without blowing it up, right? So again, running the numbers, and I know I sound like a broken record when I say that, but running these numbers, if we are only striving for that $250 a day, divided by $250 a day, that's going to take you 10 days just to get to the buffer. Is that something you want to do? If the answer is no, and that you want to bump this up, then you have to just... I feel like somebody's going to make a of me saying run numbers. So you could say, I'm going to make $500 a day, and you're going to, I don't know why, you're going to put your $2,600 divided by 500, 5 days. Is 5 days more realistic for you putting it at $500? Possibly. What if it's not? What could you say? Okay, maybe I'm going to take 2 trades a day. I'm going to strive for 800 and say our 2,600 divided by 800, 3 days. So you can do this however you see fit. Again, it's just understanding exactly what's required of you to get to these milestones, then get to the payout part of this. Yes, $250 a day sounds fantastic and very, very doable, but also keeping in mind that we do have to get to this buffer. So in order to get to this buffer correctly, is it worth the 3 days? Is it worth the 5 days? Is it worth the 10 days? Because once you have it and then you just build on it, right? It's like the domino effect. You're building on this and building and building and building. So your buffer is going to stay in there, but then subsequent payouts, it's going to stay, and then you only realistically have to make that $250. Also, does that satisfy the consistency rule? Absolutely, because if you're trading consistently the same profit every single day, you're not going to run into a consistency rule issue. So that's something to keep in mind while trading Apex. Okay, there are other prop firms that do not have consistency rules, but the trade-off for that also is that you don't get to trade 20 accounts. So it's really where you want to take this, what you want to get out of it, and how you're going to get there, right? So breaking these key points of like the fundamentals of doing it is going to help you in the long run. It might sound daunting. It might be like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming and I can't figure this out. Help, please. I do offer one-on-ones, and I do have my team where you can see me trade live, and there's tons of educational information in there and a great team of like-minded people. We're all striving for the same thing. So I'm going to put that down in the description along with best available deal on Apex using my code. but this is the basics of this and how to fully understand this and know what you're doing and what you're getting yourself to. So that's going to be it for me, you guys. If you have questions, like always, leave it in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video.